Well, sticking with tragedy, 84 dead in France, more than 250 dead in Turkey. Weekends like the one we've just had becoming all too common. There is a real feeling of unrest across the globe, with the security we all used to take for granted now under threat. To try and make some sense of it all for us this morning is Professor Robert Patman from Otago University, who joins us now. Good morning to you, Professor.
Good morning, Nadine.
Could we start talking first about Nice? The first conclusion that was immediately drawn was that this was ISIS. ISIS did eventually take responsibility, but should we be wary of jumping to that conclusion?
I think there was some concern because there were question marks raised about the mental well-being of the individual, Mr. Barlel. But I think there's mounting evidence that he did not act alone. And the thing about ISIS is that it can suddenly radicalise people through the internet, through the social media. And if he was a troubled individual, he may have been vulnerable to the message from ISIS. So the two things, being an alienated individual with petty criminal past and being receptive to ISIS, are not necessarily incompatible with each other. In fact, ISIS may target such individuals.
Much is being made of the fact that this guy doesn't appear to have been a particularly devout Muslim, that he ate pork, he drank, he didn't go to the mosque. Should we read anything into that?
Again, we're dealing with a little bit of speculation here, Nadine. We just don't know. But again, one of the things that, if we look at terrorists involved in these other incidents in Paris and elsewhere, Brussels, we also know that a lot of these people compartmentalise their lives. They do not want to send the signals that they're ultra-religious, because that may well tip off intelligence people about their possible intentions if they express their militancy in religious terms. So we just don't know. It does look like, as the news suggested, something like between 5 and 7 people have been arrested in Nice over the weekend. And we also know that he carried out several reconnaissance missions, 2 dummy runs. So it doesn't look like this was a spur-of-the-moment action.
Can we talk about Turkey? This seems to have become a rather bloody coup. Thousands arrested, judges dismissed. Do the complaints that were levelled against the government, do they hold some water? Were there real concerns there, or has this uprising now been quelled?
Well, I think there was 2 major concerns. They weren't confined to the military, by the way, Nadine. One is that President Erdogan is engaged in a transformation project within Turkey. Turkey's a secular Islamic society, and Erdogan has been seen as moving. He's an Islamist. He's moving a moderate Islamist who does, participate in democratic elections. Has been moving Turkey in a less secular direction. In particular, people have been worried about his increasing domination of the media, bringing the state media firmly under his party's control. That's one thing. The second thing has been the contagion of the violence in neighbouring Syria. In the last 12 months, Turkey, which is up to a year ago was a previously stable democracy, at least for the last decade and a half, has experienced, if you like, the spillover of violence into Turkey. 6 major terrorist incidents. Large numbers of Turks killed. The most recent incident, 40 were killed. This has caused deep concern. Now, the military have used those issues, I think, as a pretext for moving forward.
I know that there are probably localised or specific reasons that these attacks happened where they did, but I'm just wondering, where we seem to be talking more and more about mass-scale terror, whether you'd be concerned about the Rio Olympics being a target.
Well, we can't rule it out because, you see, ISIS do have a global agenda. Their ambitions are not confined to one territorial space, and they are sophisticated operators on the social media, which means they don't have to physically send people to Rio. So we can't rule out that possibility, and it's a real challenge for the international community at the moment. We're going through a very difficult international transition in which the forces of integration and the forces of fragmentation are uneasily coexisting.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly. Thank you, Professor Robert Patman, the Head of Politics at Otago University.